The Valorant console beta has just launched about a week ago, and I'm incredibly excited to share with you some breakthrough discoveries that I've made over the past few days while I've been experimenting with different sensitivities and settings. These settings will greatly improve your aim, boost your performance, and should improve your overall gaming experience, and the settings that I'm about to show you will apply for both PS5 and Xbox console, so I definitely recommend you guys watch this video till the end, regardless of the platform that you're on. With that said, without any further ado, let's just get right into the video. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go over each of the important settings one by one just so you could see exactly what I'm using. First, for the map, I have rotate with player and keep player centered both turned on, and this will essentially rotate the map with your player as you move your field of view and keep your player in the center of the map even while you move your player around. I also tweak the size and zoom of the map to suit my preferences, although this is entirely up to you. Moving on, console filter and privacy settings are again gonna be according to your personal preference. I'm just gonna set it as default for me. Now, in other settings, I do use a purple enemy highlight color as that just helps me spot enemies better, which again is a personal choice. However, I do highly recommend that you enable bullet traces, as this actually is a useful feature that will improve your aim, because if you haven't already played Valorant on PC, the shooting mechanics is a little bit different depending on the weapon that you're using, because at times you might think that you're aiming for the head but the bullets will not register, as you're supposed to bring the crosshair lower than the head to actually get a headshot. So enabling bullet traces in Valorant will definitely give you a better idea of the bloom as you play the game more with this feature turned on. Now let's move on to the more important stuff, which is setting up the right controls. For the button configuration, I keep most of the settings standard, but if you have paddles on your controller, you can set them up for abilities 1 or 2. It's not a big deal, although if you are used to having custom buttons for your paddles, it could make using abilities or jump a tad bit more convenient. Now, here's the crucial part for anyone that's serious about playing this game. I've previously played Valorant on PC, achieving ranks like Ascendant and Immortal 1, which indicates a decent understanding of the game. So while selecting my controls for the console version, I needed something that felt right, as I was habituated to using a keyboard and mouse for FPS games. After a whole week of trial and error, I found this particular setup to be perfect for me. I've got 6 and 6 for base sensitivity on both vertical and horizontal, and 18-18 focus sense with a light base curve for all. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, why the hell do I have a higher focus sensitivity and a lower base sense? This was exactly the breakthrough that I was talking about. I totally get that most players recommend a lower focus sense and a higher base sense, but I found a much better approach. You see, there's an option in the advanced settings to run while in focus mode, and that's the game changer. In the focus mode, there's absolutely no aim curve, meaning your aim speed is consistent and linear regardless of stick pressure. When not in focus mode, the aim curve kicks in, so having finer control while aiming is better, hence the slower base sense. You can also run while in focus mode without any impact on clearing corners or turning quickly, and you can activate and deactivate focus at will using this method. As you can see in these clips, this setup provides excellent control over your aim. It might feel odd at first, but once you get used to it, the control is amazing. I've also tested every single curve type, and a light curve is the best as it gives you the smooth, gradual movement as opposed to linear. It feels a lot more natural and is easier to get used to. Now, let's talk about dead zones, which in a game like Valorant are extremely crucial. I've previously made a video on dead zones in one of my controller videos, but I'll still briefly explain here. A dead zone determines how much you need to move the thumbstick before it registers input. A large dead zone means more stick movement is required to register input, while a small dead zone means even slight movements will be detected, and this can cause stick drift if you end up setting your dead zone too low. Now, if you're on the standard PS5 or Xbox controller, you'll find yourself having at least a tad bit of stick drift no matter when you've purchased your controller. If the values that you see here are anything above 0.0001, that means you have a slight stick drift. You can easily check the rate of error on your controller by visiting this website called Gamepad Tester, and it'll tell you exactly the rate of error on your controller that's causing stick drift. In Valorant, you want to avoid setting the dead zone too low to prevent stick drift and unintended crosshair movement. But like I mentioned, if you have stick drift on your controller based on the results from Gamepad Tester, feel free to adjust it even higher so that you don't experience any stick drift in game. My settings for the dead zone are shown right here. The outer dead zone determines how much you need to press the stick to reach maximum sensitivity speed. So a lower setting means faster speed with less input. I would personally recommend you guys keep this setting moderate. For movement dead zones, it's essential to keep them around default or slightly lower, but not too much. Lowering the dead zone too much can again result in unintended character movements, which can give away your position to the enemy. Ideally, you want to maintain a balance to avoid accidental missteps. In the advanced settings, I recommend lowering the trigger dead zone to the minimum. This setting determines how quickly the game registers your trigger input. For 1v1 situations, you want your inputs registered as fast as possible, so set this to the lowest value. And by the way, this is also where you can disable walking while in focus mode. For the crosshair, this is again mostly personal preference. Currently, I use a basic crosshair with these settings shown on the screen. For those interested in my stats and audio settings, they are mostly untouched. With that being said, those are all the settings that you would need in order to get to your maximum potential at this game. I'm extremely excited to play and create more content for Valorant, and I can't wait to grind the current beta and the official release. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.